What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back here for another episode of Player Ratings as we lost 3-1 to Liverpool at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium last night. To be honest, it's not the kind of loss that really hurt me. It's really in the manner in which we lost, the manner in which we keep making these defensive errors, and obviously that Harry Kane injury, which could really have a detrimental effect to us, couldn't it?
Yeah, it was a really bad day yesterday for Tottenham. Really bad day, and it started so brightly when you thought, Son putting us ahead after 2 minutes. You're thinking maybe this could be another day and maybe we could get our tactics right, but they got ruled out for offside, and then we conceded just before half time, and it just went to pot after that. Kane being injured. And that's a massive blow, and we just seem to lack any belief in that second half, especially in the last half an hour, that we could get anything out of that game, and that's probably what's most going to worry Mourinho, and it's going to be a big job to pick ourselves up after that. Yeah,
especially with 2 wins in the last 9 games, and that's with Harry Kane. So without Harry Kane, it's going to be a really much more difficult task. But look, let's get into the player ratings. Let's start off with Hugo Lloris, and we gave him a 4. We've been praising this guy, Hugo Lloris, time and time again since he's come back from his injury. I personally have been saying that I think he's been the best, or definitely in the top 2 goalkeepers in the Premier League. But last night, the mistakes started to creep back into his game. First goal, don't know if it's him or Dyer, were probably both at fault. But, Hugo Lloris has got to come and claim that, or he's got to shout to Dyer. There's got to be some sort of communication there, and there just wasn't. Obviously, Dyer's not completely blameless, but I think Hugo Lloris probably is a bit more to blame for that goal. And the second goal, obviously, he just palms it out to Trent, and it's a good finish from Trent, but he's got to be putting it out for a goal corner or something further away from that.
Yes, 2 really poor pieces of goalkeeping from Hugo, and it's really disappointing because it's usually 2 things that he's usually fairly good at. Communication is usually very strong, and that shot from Mane, which he palmed straight to Trent, it's such a, not even a strong effort, it's a weak effort, rolling along the ground, and he could very easily palm that away for a corner, and he decided to keep it in play, and Trent obviously smashes it home, and he's going to have to live with those mistakes because it cost us big time. He wasn't only to blame, but those mistakes were really poor from a keeper of Hugo's quality, and he's and also not only that, rumours of a bust up with him and Aurier at the half time as well probably wouldn't have helped any situation with that. So really bad day at the office. One of few bad days he's had recently, Hugo, who I thought, as you say, has been pretty exceptional, but this is what one of his off days today.
His only one of the season, really.
His first one of the season.
First one, yeah.
It's really frustrating because he's had such a good season, but no, you can't deny it was poor.
And moving on to Joe Rhoden, we gave him a 6. Would have been a much higher rating, probably a 7 or 8 if he doesn't make that mistake for the goal. Obviously, it is a really bad mistake, but you're going to give him leeway just because he's a young defender coming in. But I thought that in general, his whole gameplay, I thought he was excellent. I really did. I thought the way he was making those last-ditch challenges, he showed his speed, aggression, and I'm really happy with Joe Rhoden. I think that at the moment, he looks like our best defender. Yeah, it's a worrying situation when that's the case, when you've got a young player coming in and he's supposed to be one proving himself, but he's outperforming your more senior centre-backs. And he was the one more taking charge yesterday, and in duels he wasn't afraid to get involved and get stuck in. Great challenge on Mane when he was one-on-one, and if he doesn't time that right, it's a penalty and maybe even a red card if he gets that wrong. And a really great sliding challenge in the first half, and I thought up until that mistake, as you say, he had a really good game. He was having a really good game, and it's such a shame that he let that mar his performance because hopefully his confidence doesn't get hit by doing that, because I thought he was having a really good game and I want to see more from him. Let's move on to Eric Dyer. We gave him a 5. Look, in terms of Eric Dyer, there were some really good moments in there from him and some good work that he was producing, but it's the same bloody story every time with Eric Dyer. Defends well, some really good moments, but then it's these sloppy mistakes, sloppy moments in the game that completely let him down, and that's exactly the same thing that happened against Liverpool.
Yep, classic Eric Dyer, and such a awful, that miscommunication for that first goal. I mean, I know Lloris should have dealt with it, but Dyer as well should have dealt with it. What do you learn? Your first thing you learn when you're defending it as a school kid, if in doubt, put it out. everyone has learned that. It's literally the first thing. If there's any doubt there, Dyer should have just been wiping that ball clear. And the fact that he didn't cost us dear, because obviously we conceded that goal. And it's so frustrating, because I thought in that first half, especially the fact that we had playing three at the back, so it allowed one of the centre-backs to step into midfield occasionally to make sure that Liverpool don't build up too many attacks. I thought Dyer was doing a really good job there. I thought he was stepping in, being combative, he was making tackles, but again, silly lack of concentration, letting him down yet again. And I also thought his passing wasn't great either. So it's another what could have been performance from Dyer. And again, his mistakes are costing us goals and points. And how many times now have he's had a good game and he's made one mistake and it's cost us? So many times this season.
Time and time again, really.
And yeah, I think...
I mean, the majority of times we score, it's bloody coming from him, you know what I mean? Lapses of concentration. Yeah. We concede, yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's really frustrating from Dyer. So maybe it is about time that he gets out of the side for a bit.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on to Ben Davies. We gave him a 5 as well. In terms of Ben Davies... you know, what can I keep saying the same thing about Ben Davies every single time. Average. I mean, what more can I say?
I don't know. For that goal that was ruled out for VAR, I don't know where he was. Completely caught upfield, nowhere to be seen. He was lucky that goal got ruled out for VAR. I thought Mourinho started him in the... I don't mind him in centre back, but I think he should have started left wing back, because I think Dougherty was completely in the wrong position. I think he should have started there. I think he overcomplicated that selection. He definitely should have started left wing back. I actually don't think he had a terrible game. It was just average, and especially in the second half when he moved to left back, he was all at sea. He couldn't handle Salah in that position. He needed to stay deeper, but because we were losing, he was pushing up and he couldn't really recover to get back in defensive positions when Liverpool turned over possession, and he really struggled badly. So I don't blame him fully, because Davies is Davies, and you don't play Davies as a flying fullback when he's up against Salah. That's just a recipe for disaster. But the fact of the matter is he struggled, so that's all you can say.
Yeah, which moves us on to Serge Aurier. We gave him a 4. In terms of Serge Aurier, I think that I was noticing it like quite early in the game, how Serge Aurier was kind of having an off day. You saw straight away from the beginning, Mane got in behind him. Mane was getting in behind him time and time again after that. And that kind of first moment in the game, that first minute, was kind of sign of things to come. And I thought Aurier was poor. And that's all I'm going to say on it.
I agree with you, he was poor. I would disagree when you say time and time again. It happened twice, I think, in that first half. One right at the beginning and one right at the end. That's pretty much the couple of times it happened. Then he got hauled off. He had a poor game. I'm not going to deny that. I definitely would have kept him on, though, because I thought he's going to be much better in a back four as opposed to Dougherty. I wouldn't, because Dougherty struggled. But we'll get on to Dougherty in a minute. But Aurier... I don't know what happened at half-time. Apparently he left the stadium after a fight with Lloris, which is really bad news if that's true. Him coming to blows. Hopefully he can get over that, because we're going to need him coming into it. And desperately need him. And yeah, it's another game where with Aurier, because he was having a good season, but you know, Leicester screwed up big time, and I thought that goal just before half time, he lets Mane run off him and he's nowhere to be seen, and that was a real big shame, because I thought we were defending fairly resolutely before that, and just one of those moments where he let him go and it cost us dearly.
Yeah,
and clearly Mourinho thought so too, because he hauled him off.
Yeah.
But next is Dougherty, not Højbjerg.
No, Højbjerg.
Where's Dougherty?
Don't worry, Dougherty's coming.
All right.
Let's move on to Pierre-Emerick Højbjerg. We give him an 8. Look, obviously our standout player of the game. I thought that he was absolutely brilliant. Showed proper leadership skills, aggression in the middle, closing down. The amount of kind of duels he won as well, absolutely amazing. If he wasn't in there, I mean, we would have got battered yesterday even more. So I think that we did need another central midfield in there, because they were overrunning us in midfield. Him and Ndombele couldn't do it all. They did need help in there. And that goal, absolutely brilliant to bring us back into the game, but obviously it didn't last. But yeah, Højbjerg, absolutely brilliant.
He was, fantastic. The only player, he was head and shoulders above everyone else yesterday, really. The only player that really had belief and that that had passion in his game yesterday, and really I felt like he believed that we could get something out of it, and him dragging us back into the game once we're 2-0 down when the game was dead and buried, thinking this could be anything, and then he drags us back in the game, gives us a fighting chance with that unbelievable strike on the edge of the box. Thinking there was a fleeting moment where you're thinking maybe we can get something out of this game. Unfortunately, I felt like he was let down by the rest of the team, and also by the fact that he wasn't helped too much by a shocking central midfield partner in Winks in the second half. And I think he'll be frustrated that his performance came to nothing, but I actually thought he was really, really good. And they struggled to get past him a few times, but it's a shame that he was let down by the rest of the team.
Yeah. Moving on to Tanguy Ndombele, we gave him a 6. I thought that in the first half there were some really, really good moments from Tanguy. I mean, he was showing signs that he could really dominate that midfield, but I think ultimately he got let down with lack of support in the middle there, because Højbjerg, like I said, couldn't do it all on his own. So I think Tanguy was doing a good job in that first half, but he had too much to do. There was too much for him to do, especially throughout that 90 minutes, and with Winks coming on, it just didn't help anyone's cause. So, I mean, I feel for Ndombele. It wasn't his best performance, but there were some really good moments in there in parts.
Yeah, I felt like in the first half he did struggle a bit, being in a double pivot with Højbjerg, just because with Liverpool having Wijnaldum, having Thiago in the centre there, he really struggled to kind of combat that. He struggled to cover a lot of ground, all the ground that he needed to cover. And with Milner as well, who's obviously a big winning runner, isn't he? He's a hard worker. And I thought when Tanguy was on the ball and when he was given a chance to express himself, I thought he impressed. A few times he was dancing around Thiago and Wijnaldum and whoever, and they struggled to get the ball off him, and he was involved in the chance that made the goal early on, was ruled out for VAR. So that was good, but yeah, off the ball, not his fault totally, because he struggles in that aspect, but he was completely overrun. And in the second half, it was very difficult for him. I think he exerted a lot of energy in the first half. He started to tire fairly early on, and he had to play the whole 90 minutes because we were making all these subs. And if he was helped by his midfield partners, especially Winks, he could have done better. But I felt like he struggled big time in the second half. And it was always going to be more difficult once Liverpool started sitting back and putting all their men behind the ball and sitting deep to break him down. It was going to be more difficult for him to really express himself like he was in the first half. So not his best day, but not totally his fault.
Let's move on to Matt Dougherty. We're giving him a 3. I mean, I'm struggling to see what Matt Dougherty kind of provides for the team anymore. I'm kind of losing faith in him pretty quickly now. I really am, because I haven't seen him. He's been here half a season now, and I don't think he's put in one competent display as a right back. In this game, he started off as a left wing back, moved over to right back in second half, and just either were not good enough. In the second half, he was getting dubs by Mane time and time again. In the first half, he just wasn't creating that outlet that we need from a left wing back. I mean, when you see Reguilon's performances there, it's just like complete night and day, isn't it? Like, it's complete. You can see what frailties Dougherty has when you have a left back in the squad like Reguilon, you know what I mean? So, I mean, Dougherty, passing woeful. When he gets up, he can't get back down. Defensively, he wasn't that good. I mean, the only thing I can see that he does well is headers. That's the only thing.
Yeah. One thing I'll before I start slating him, I'll just put a tiny defence on Dougherty in the sense that on first half he played left wing back, which is clearly not his position, and whenever he got the ball, he just did not look comfortable whatsoever in that position. Just wait. Left wing back was not his position. He did not look comfortable at all in that position. And whenever he got the ball, he was getting and taking up good positions and finding the ball in decent positions, but he kept wasting it because he kept having to cut inside and finding a pass, and it wasn't working at all. I think Mourinho got that totally wrong playing him there. I think even if he would have played Davis there, he would have had a lot more joy when we got in those positions. And then the second half, he plays Dougherty in a back four on right back, playing a very high pressure game, pushing him up, and I felt like he was set up to fail in a sense that having Mane up against him, taking him on one-on-one and exploiting the space that Dougherty was always going to leave when we're pushing for a goal, was always a recipe for disaster. He got that totally wrong. Now that's his defence. Now I'm going to get into what he's been since, because he has been absolutely atrocious. He's been atrocious. You can't get away from it. Whenever he's been on the ball, he was brought in as a right back who was supposed to have good attacking output. You know, he's one of the most effective right backs in the Wolves system. He hasn't shown anything going forward in the Spurs shirt. Nothing. His crossing ability is nothing. His passing ability, he gives the ball away so cheaply. He's not good at keeping possession. Even in the first half, remember how many times he was passing it back and nearly played Liverpool through on goal, and we had to scramble around and save the situation. It's just this is a player who's supposed to, we signed for 30 million to improve the fullback situation, and he's done anything but that. I really don't see how we can keep him beyond the summer. I think he's just painfully average, and I think we probably got the wool pulled over our eyes by Wolves in terms of getting him for cheap and thinking we're going to improve the right back situation. I think he's probably good in one aspect, and that's which I said when we signed him, and that's getting into the box at the back post in a right wing back position when he's got a back three, and he doesn't have to sprint back all the time to cover the space that he leaves back because he's not as exposed. And when the ball's on the opposite flank, he can make late runs to the back post untracked because he's a right wing back, and the defence is going to be more occupied by attackers. When he's not doing that, he's pretty much useless. And that's what we've seen. And when he gets forward, he can't even get forward, because if we lose possession, they're in on goal every time, and they showed that time after time after time. For that goal I was ruled out for VAR, where was Dougherty? He was nowhere. Mane had the free reign of the whole pitch because Dougherty couldn't get back in time. He is so slow coming back. It's painful watching it. It's really painful. So I don't know if Aurier is going to be banished from the squad for that's just speculation. But if he is, then I do worry with Dougherty there at right back, because I really think he's a liability. Mm-hmm. I do.
Yeah. I completely agree. There's nothing I can say to combat that, because it's facts. Unfortunately, it really is. And when you look back at the right backs that we have, Kyle Walker, we never really replaced him. Got Trippier.
Trippier a different level to Dougherty.
Yeah, Trippier's miles better than Dougherty.
Miles.
And we were all calling for Trippier to be sold at the time.
Miles better. Dougherty, this isn't even like, at the beginning of the season, we're like, oh, he hasn't had a pre-season. Let us get him. Mate, we're in January now. He's had more than enough time. Whenever we've seen him,
nearly in February.
We're pretty much in February now, and whenever we've seen him, he's just been average. He's never been more than a 6 out of 10. Never.
Has he ever been more than a 5 out of 10?
I would say like games against Burnley and stuff when he's been good defensively. When we kept a clean sheet, he's been okay. But he's never been more than a 6. Never.
All right, let's move on to Steven Berglein. We'll give him a 5. I was actually quite happy with Steven Berglein in the opening exchanges of the game. I thought he was playing quite well. But I thought as the game went on, he got more isolated, and then obviously ended up kind of just petering out the game quite early in that second half, or probably about late in the first half, to be honest.
Yeah, he looked all right when he had space to play with, and in the first half we did have space to play with, and on the counter we looked okay. We looked like we were going to hurt Liverpool, but as soon as they went 2-0 up in the first half, obviously he did get that assist for Højbjerg, which he lays it off 25 yards. Not exactly the most impressive of assists, but
what an assist!
Yeah, unbelievable. But what I would say is as soon as you take the space away from him, he doesn't seem that nimble enough to kind of know what to do when he's not afforded space. He seems to struggle a bit when he's got a packed back line.
I thought there were a couple of nice. Definitely.
You know what I mean? When he's got a packed back line to contend with, he doesn't really have that nimbleness to get a little through ball, one little quick one-touch play around players.
I would say on that. I agree with you that in the second half, but I think in the beginning exchange in the first half, there were some moments in there when he was getting the ball and he had not much space, but he played some nice passes and some nice quick decisions. But Let's move on to Heung-min Son. We're giving him a 6. Obviously took his goal really well, which from the stills now we're seeing wasn't offside. But in terms of his actual gameplay, I thought first half he was providing good energy for the team going forward. But then second half he was pretty much completely isolated, completely anonymous, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Had a chance after that disallowed goal that he probably should have scored. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, such a shame that goal was ruled out. I really believe that it's a different game if that goal stands and we go 1-0 up. Having said that, he had a pretty much a near identical chance, not maybe a bit wider than the one that he scored from.
Snuffed it straight at Alisson.
But yeah, straight at Alisson. It's just really poor from Sonny, who you expect at least to be hitting one of the corners there, or at least make Alisson properly work for it. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be. And then in the second half, yeah, he struggled. As soon as it's 2-0 down, it's not a game for Son. That's the fact of the matter. When Liverpool are sitting deep and they're sitting a low block and they're the ones allowing us the ball, Son needs space to thrive. He needs it. Other than that, or he likes to have long range shots. But when he's playing up front, it doesn't allow him either of those things. So when he's playing up front and asked to stretch the Liverpool back line and run beyond them, he can't do that when they're not leaving any space for him. So it was always a non-starter as soon as we went 2-0 down. It kind of ripped up any instructions or any game plan we had in that second half. It was ripped up as soon as that second goal went in. So I felt for Sonny, and I thought when he did get on the ball, he tried his best and he was trying to make things happen, but it wasn't working for him, and it just wasn't his day.
Yeah, which moves us on to Harry Kane. We gave him a 5. Obviously not the greatest day for Harry Kane at the office. 2 injuries. He went down twice. The first time he went down was kind of 10 minutes into the game, wasn't it? And we didn't think he was going to get up after that. Mm-hmm. He got up, and then he still never looked comfortable until he went down again around, 20 minutes later or so, when he went down again, and we never thought he was going to get up from that one. And he got up, and then he never came out for the second half. But all you got to do is look at the stats for this one for Harry Kane, because seeing those stats, it's just not Harry Kane. Zeros all round for Harry Kane in terms of shots, everything. There's just no stats there for Harry Kane, and when that's happening, you just know it's an off day at the office for him, and maybe it was the injuries that stifled his performance.
Yeah, I think it contributed because obviously he got that first injury about 12 minutes in, whereas for the opening part of the game, I thought he was looking pretty good. He got that really good through ball to Son, for the goal, which got ruled out. And then a couple of times he was looking like...
Was that Ndombele?
No, Ndombele plays the ball to Son, and then Son plays it to Kane, and then Kane plays a through ball to Son, and then he goes for on goal. I think Ndombele played the through ball for the chance that he missed straight Alisson. I think I have to watch it again. But I thought Kane, for the first 15 minutes, was combating. I thought he was sticking on Henderson well, and I thought a few times he was getting the better of him, and I thought, okay, he's going to get some joy here. Then as you said, the first ankle went. Second ankle went, and if the first ankle didn't do it, the second ankle definitely did, and unfortunately he just didn't look comfortable whatsoever after that. He really did struggle to get in the game. He wasn't really getting involved. He was struggling to compete physically, and I don't think either of us were surprised when he didn't come out for the second half. And it sounds like he's going to be out for a few weeks now, which is a real big worry. And hopefully we can get him fit as quick as possible. Thankfully, it sounds like weeks, but not months. But again, we don't know. So hopefully we get him back fit as possible. And we're going to have to make some solutions for his absence now, because he's a big miss. But yeah, it was, again, those injuries took his toll yesterday, I feel.
Which moves us on to the substitutes. Harry Winks, we're giving him a 3. Look, what can we say about Harry Winks in this performance? I thought that he's not the player we needed to come on. We needed Sissoko. We needed a presence in there in the middle of the park, and he just didn't provide us that. Every time we were looking to go forward or do something, I felt that he made a misplaced pass. And yeah, just a really bad performance from Harry Winks, but I do feel for him because he just wasn't the player that we needed to come on, to be honest.
Yeah, look, you know how I defend Winks, but I can't defend him after yesterday. I can't. He was a shambles. He was an absolute shambles when he came on the pitch. I understand the thinking from Jose. His thinking was get Winks on. Maybe we can have a bit more possession. Maybe we can carve out some opportunities and put Liverpool under a bit more pressure. But it didn't work. It was wrong from the get-go. you saw that as soon as we conceded about within a minute of pretty much of the second half. We had absolutely no cover for the back line. We took out a defender and put in a midfielder to give more bodies in the centre, but what it did was it completely exposed the fullbacks, and you saw that time and time again in that second half, how we were just completely overrun. Winks' passing, which he was brought on for, was absolutely diabolical. It was diabolical.
I was surprised when I saw that 86% passing.
I know it says 86%, but from what I saw, he could barely pass to a Tottenham man, especially in any meaningful position. He couldn't. That's the truth.
I thought that the passing where he kept going wrong was not the kind of backways and sideways passes. It was every time he was looking to do something with the ball.
Correct.
That's what it was.
And then whenever Liverpool got any sort of transition, it was so easy for them to just like, how many times you just saw a Liverpool midfielder or winger just breeze past Winks as if he didn't even exist. And I think that's what Mourinho didn't account for when he brought on Winks instead of Sissoko. The energy and the amount of ground you can cover, he got that completely wrong, and Winks had an absolutely awful game. He had an awful game, and he'll be really disappointed in himself how he performed, because he didn't help the team. He was a hindrance, and he didn't help Højbjerg and Ndombele control the midfield whatsoever. And if anything, it was like playing with 10 men at times even, I felt, in that second half, because you took out a defender, which we had with a bit of control of the back line. You put in a midfielder, and not only did he not improve how much control we had in midfield, but we completely left the back line exposed. So I can't defend him after that.
All right, which moves us on to last but not least, Eric Lamela. We gave him a 4. I felt that he was the wrong player as well to come on at half-time. I really felt that we should have brought on either a Gareth Bale or a Vinicius just to give us a bit more presence up there, which Lamela failed to give us at all. I just thought he was dreadful. I really thought he was dreadful. I can't remember one really good thing that he did for the whole 45 minutes.
Yeah, he can. Again, the logic, I can kind of understand why he brought on Lamela. He wanted to be a bit more intense in the pressing. He wanted a player who's going to hound the Liverpool back line and press them and make tackles. But it didn't work. He wasn't off it. He wasn't good. Whenever he got the ball, he was giving it away, hanging on for the ball for too long. I can't remember one time he even looked like creating a chance.
At his frustrating best.
Yeah, he really was. And even on the flip side, it didn't matter that much that they were being pressed, because they're 2-0 up. So they're sitting deep. They could just bypass the press every time. They could play it long to the forward lines or to the wingers or whatever, and it didn't affect them that they were being pressed. So unfortunately, the game plan was ripped up after a minute of the second half. But I thought Lamela was awful when he came on. He just didn't do anything.
Then obviously Gareth Bale came on with 50 minutes to go. We're not going to give him a rating. Hardly saw the ball, did he?
Yeah, I mean, it was always going to be difficult for him when Liverpool was sitting deep and not giving any space and not allowing anything. You can't, we know Bale has quality, but it was never going to, he needed to do 2 goals in, 10 minutes or whatever it was, and it was always going to be an uphill struggle, so can't expect too much from that.
And Jose Mourinho, I don't know what rating to give him, but in terms of Jose Mourinho, this is my personal opinion. I felt that even though we started the first 20 minutes really well in this game and really good intent in terms of the counter-attack, I felt that he did set up the team wrong. I felt that we needed that extra body in midfield. Sissoko was probably, he would have been imperative in this game in terms of giving us a presence in that middle of the park. I felt that he made the wrong decisions at half-time of bringing on Winks and Lamela. I thought he should have brought on Vinicius to give us that presence up top in terms of a target man, so we've actually got something to aim for, with maybe Sonny and Berglein playing off him, running in behind. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say on Jose. I thought that's where he went wrong yesterday.
Yeah, I felt like I actually think seeing as we looked better in the first half than we did in the second half, and I thought it was working pretty well for the majority of the first half. I felt the way we set up, I just think the personnel was wrong. I think the personnel was wrong in terms of playing Dougherty left wing back. I think he definitely should have played Davis there, and I think we definitely would have got more joy. I think he just overcomplicated that whole situation because Reguilon and Davis would, obviously Reguilon was ruled out, Davis was out, and everyone's wondering who we're going to play there. Davis was past fit in the end, so you got to play him there. You got to play him left wing back. That's his natural position. He's the most natural fit for that. And even if that means you still start Dougherty but play play him centre back. I think that's even a better option than having Davis and Dougherty at left wing back. That didn't work. I think he got it completely wrong keeping Dougherty on, even though there was a fight between Aurier and whatever. Having Dougherty at right back didn't work in a back four, and I think he got it completely wrong having Weeks in the having Winks in the midfield in that second half. He got that wrong as well. So you got to say it was a poor day at the office for Mourinho, but I do feel for him because the plan he had in that first half was by and large working, apart from one major screw up right at the last kick of the half, which really screwed up the game plan. That's why I feel for him.
To be honest, the game plan could have been screwed up after the first minute when Mane went in behind Aurier.
Yeah, but also could have worked to perfection after 2 minutes if that goal counts. You know what I mean? So it's fine margin. That first half was real fine margins.
But it was. But I still feel that when you look at the game at Anfield, we played a lot better that day. And
I would say at Anfield, both first halves, if you compare them, they're probably very similar.
Mm-hmm.
The first half at Anfield, the first half here. For Anfield, we go in at 1-1. This time we go in at 1-0. There's a big difference there in approaches.
Yeah. No, there is. I mean, that goal just before half-time is a killer blow for us. It's a killer blow for us.
And he would have been absolutely tearing his hair out.
But I still felt that in the first half, maybe after the first 20 minutes, I felt Liverpool gained control of that midfield, and it was because of that extra man in there.
And they did.
And I think that if we would have set up the same way as we did at Anfield, then that might not have happened.
I agree with you. I agree. That's why he changed it, because he would have felt like they're gaining too much ground in the centre, which they were. However, what chances they created, they had one right at the start. They had one right at the end, and I think there was one from Mane which forced a half-decent save from Lloris. That was like a half
which is
chance.
A lot more chances than they had at Anfield.
Yes. No, it's about the same. About the same.
I mean, in terms of high-quality chances, I mean, we were saying that they hardly had any at Anfield. I mean, especially in the first half.
Yeah, but I'm saying the chances they created weren't due to the midfield. It was due to the one at the right.
It was through to the flanks.
Yeah, exactly. The one right at the start was due to Mane beating Rhoden to the ball and then Salah playing it through and him running off Aurier. The one right at the end, where again Henderson comes out from centre back, plays the ball over the top. Mane runs off Aurier.
Again, though, when we have three in midfield, Sissoko's there helping out Aurier on that right hand side.
Yeah, but then no. That for the goal, Sissoko wouldn't have done anything about that because he runs off Aurier, he's in the box, he's gone. There's nothing you can do about that. So I don't know if that would have helped, but yeah, look, it was I think it was there's a bit of sympathy, but you got to say every change he made was completely
got worse
wrong.
and worse. Didn't
it got worse and worse. So he's got to take a lot of the blame for what happened. But I do have a bit of sympathy because individual screw-ups definitely ruin the game plan.
Yeah, they ruin every single game plan week on week at the moment.
That's the truth. So I do have a bit of sympathy, but on the flip side, you paid the big bucks to get the decisions right and you got them wrong.
Yeah. All right, so there you have it. That is our player ratings. Let me know in the comment section below, do you agree with our ratings? If you disagree, let me know your ratings in the comment section below. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.